Woo! I don't know if you heard about this story, but it appears that music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is now being accused of sexual assault as well as abuse. Now, these allegations came through yesterday, but this is not the first time that I've heard about this before in reference to Diddy. Years ago, when I lived in New York, I heard stories about, back then he was Puff Daddy. I heard stories about Puff Daddy, that he was abusive towards women. But again, these are allegations. So I do want to bring you the story first. We're going to go ahead and get into this. These allegations are coming from Cassie, who was an ex-girlfriend of Diddy. And apparently this abuse, according to Cassie, went on for years. Listen to this.
And more breaking news tonight. Singer Cassandra Ventura, whose stage name is Cassie, has sued music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, accusing him of rape, alleging she endured over a decade of violent behavior and disturbed demands, and that she was trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. According to the lawsuit, the abuse started when Cassie was 19 years old, and Combs allegedly lured her into a professional and sexual relationship. The lawsuit also alleges that he plied Ventura with drugs and alcohol, causing her to fall into dangerous addictions that controlled her life. An attorney for Combs denied the allegations, saying in part he vehemently denies these offensive and outrageous allegations. For the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has subjected Mrs. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so Cassie, for those who are not aware, she was an R&B singer. She was signed to Diddy's label at one point in time. I'm going to get into a little bit more of the details here. And by the way, it's not just women that I've heard this about in reference to Diddy. I've also heard that there have been allegations before that he was abusive towards men as well. But let's get into this. It says Sean Combs is accused by Cassie of sexual assault and years of abuse in a lawsuit. I want to go ahead and dive into this part. Let's go down here. After years in silence and darkness, Miss Ventura said in a statement, "I am finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships." In response, a lawyer for Mr. Combs, Ben Brofman, said Mr. Combs vehemently denies these offensive and outrageous allegations. For the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Mrs. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. Despite withdrawing her initial threat, Ms. Ventura has now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation and seeking a payday. So let's go ahead and get into the events here. Mr. Combs, 54, founded Bad Boy in 1993 and became one of the primary figures in the commercialization of hip hop, working with stars like Notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige. I want to pause here for a second. Mary J. Blige also was another one. There were other artists in the industry that no longer are artists that have come forward before and said that Mary J. Blige was also abused in the music industry. Let's go on. His net worth has been estimated as high as $1 billion. And last year, Forbes calculated Mr. Combs' annual earnings at $90 million, attributing to that amount larger to his former partnership in a liquor brand, Ciroc, that is owned by the spirits giants Diageo. Okay, so let's get into what happened here, or what Cassie says happened. According to Miss Ventura's suit, she was swept into Mr. Combs' jet-set lifestyle not long after meeting him and signing with Bad Boy, which released her debut album in 2006. But the suit says he soon began to assert an extraordinary level of command over her life, In addition to controlling her career, he paid for her car, apartments, and clothing, and he even had access to her personal medical records. According to the suit, the results from an MRI scan that she had for memory loss, possibly caused by drug use or by a beating she said she suffered from Mr. Combs, went directly to Mr. Combs. Now, again, these are allegations. This is alleged at this point in time. Diddy has not been found guilty. But what is interesting, that is a little strange to have your partner's medical records sent directly to you instead of the partner. That is very odd to me. Mr. Combs also provided Miss Ventura with copious amounts of drugs, including ecstasy and ketamine, and urged her to take them. The suit says, and often became violent, beating her multiple times each year. The suit says Miss Ventura never went to the police because she feared it would merely give Mr. Combs another excuse to hurt her. In one incident in LA in 2009, the suit says Mr. Combs became enraged when he saw Cassie talking to another talent agent, then pushed her into a car, kicked her repeatedly in the face, which made her bleed. According to the suit, Mr. Combs then had his staff bring her to a hotel room to recuperate for a week. She asked to go home to her parents, but Mr. Combs refused, the suit says. So Cassie was only 19 years old at this point in time. So, you know, when you're in that in-between stage, like 18, 19, you may still reside with your parents, especially if you're not in college. The suit says that after seeing the violent repercussions of rejecting Mr. Combs and the extent to which he would isolate her from her support network, Cassie felt that saying no to Mr. Combs would cost her something: her family, her friends, her career, even her life. And though she tried to leave Mr. Combs, the suit says he sent his employees to lure her back. In one incident described in the court papers, Cassie says that in early 2012, Mr. Combs grew so angry about her dating the rapper Kid Cudi that he said he would blow up the rapper's car. Around that time, the suit says that Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. This is one of those things I've said before about, you know, Diddy. It was really weird to me. He was there the night that Biggie was killed. Not a scratch on Diddy. It was just something about him was just always a little odd to me. Though a spokeswoman, Kid Cudi, confirmed Cassie's account that he had a car that exploded. This is all true, he said. A few years into Cassie's relationship with Mr. Combs, the suit says he began coercing her to engage in a fantasy of his called voyeurism, in which she was directed to have sex with a succession of male prostitutes while Mr. Combs watched, pleasured himself, and took pictures and shot video. According to the suit, Diddy called these encounters freak-offs, which involved costumes like masquerade mask and lingerie. They continued for years, taking place at high-end hotels across the United States in Diddy's homes. The suit says that he instructed Cassie to search the websites of escort services to procure male sex workers. Drugs were applied at these events, which Miss Ventura's suit says she took because they allowed her to disassociate during these horrific encounters. You know what this kind of reminds me of? This kind of reminds me of all of the women that were signed by R. Kelly, the younger girls, taking them away from their family and their friends. That's what it kind of reminds me of. According to the suit, Cassie would delete videos from these incidents that had been shot on her phone, but Mr. Combs told her he still had access to those videos. And on a flight once, he made her watch a video she thought she had deleted. The suit says that as a result of these encounters in different cities, Cassie was a victim of sex trafficking. The suit also accuses Diddy of sexual battery, sexual assault, and violation of NYC's gender-motivated violence law. Cassie's suit includes several accounts of her unsuccessful attempts to escape Diddy's control. In one example, the suit says that during a freak-off in LA in 2016, an intoxicated Diddy punched Cassie in the face, giving her a black eye. He fell asleep and she tried to leave the room, but Diddy woke her and followed her into the hallway, where he threw glass vases at her, sending glass shattering through the corridor, according to the court filing. So what I would say is this: hotels usually have cameras in the hallways and also in the elevator. So, I mean, if it were me and I were part of this case, I would seek out to see any video footage from that time that they were in LA in 2016 to show if they were in the hallway and that fight happened. The hotel security cameras captured the incident, but the suit says Diddy paid the hotel $50,000 for the footage. Isn't that illegal? Isn't it illegal? Isn't that like bribing someone to hide evidence? The court filing says that in 2018, after Diddy and Cassie met for dinner, he forced himself into her apartment and he assaulted her. After that, the suit says she left him for good. Cassie married Alex Fine, a personal trainer, the following year and now has 2 children. According to the complaint, her association with Bad Boy ended in 2019. I want to get into this clip here from News Nation that is going to bring up the issue of the statute of limitations. Because what is also interesting about this particular case is that the statute of limitations is just about a couple weeks away. So one of the questions that is being raised is, why is this being filed so close to the deadline of the statute of limitations? Let's go ahead and get into this clip here.
Now we have breaking news about celebrities in hot water, major hot water. Up first, because it's newer, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, accused of rape, sex trafficking by his ex-girlfriend, R&B singer Cassie. The allegation, Combs began abusing her soon after they met in 2005. She claims for over a decade he beat her, drugged her, raped her, forced her to have sex with male prostitutes as he filmed the encounters. What to make of this allegation? What is the standard of proof? And what happens next? Dave Aronberg and Diddy's former lawyer, criminal defense attorney Mark Garagos. In terms of the timing, what needs to happen here, Mark, for this to have teeth criminally or civilly?
Well, the only reason this has teeth civilly, in my opinion, is the New York statute, the look-back statute, expires. It was not renewed. It expires next week, I believe on Wednesday. So for civil, this revives cases that are long since dead. For a criminal case, that is not the same. The criminal case, under a case called Stogner, you can't revive it once the statute of limitations is run. I will tell you that there are a lot of people who will tell you that the look-back statute was a bad look. And I don't mean that flippantly. I just mean that it destroys the idea of what a statute of limitations is all about, which is generally to give somebody contemporaneous notice.
But obviously, she's probably aware of the statute through counsel, and this is coming up now, because, like you just said, it may be expired. You represented them. Had you ever heard anything like this before?
Well, I can't get into anything that's attorney-client. I will just tell you that it's troubling only in that it's brought up in the context of a statute that's going to expire in approximately a week.
Okay, so the statute expires in 1 week. So that's something to keep in mind.
I always, when you wait till the 11th hour, that kind of situation I think is troubling. That's what gives me pause.
I understand, you know, it can be different motivations. Got to go case by case. But Dave, in terms of what prosecutors would have to look at here, what they'd need to see, criminally, is there any shot? And if it's civilly, what would be the right level of scrutiny for you?
Well, it looks like this is past the statute of limitations in New York, as Mark said, and that's why they filed it civilly, and they had to do it based on this special law that expires in a week. This is the same law, Chris, that E. Jean Carroll benefited from to sue Donald Trump multiple times. And so they're going to have to put on a case if this goes to trial, and unlike a criminal case, you only need to prove it by a preponderance of the evidence, a much lower burden than beyond a reasonable doubt. And there's a key witness here, this guy, Kid Cudi, this other famous rapper who apparently can corroborate some of these claims. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough one for Diddy.
If Kid Cudi comes forward, that would be really interesting. Kid Cudi, Cleveland, Ohio-based rapper. I don't know if everybody is familiar with him. He's a little bit more like low-key. But if he comes forward, again, right now it's an accusation. It is alleged. He has not been proven guilty in the court of law. But I will also say, like I said, when I lived in New York, I heard rumors about Puff Daddy and his situations with women, and not just with women, also with men. So I heard rumors that he was abusive before. Eric, we can go to the second one whenever you're ready. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Oof, man. But the thing is, when you have a lot of money, the other thing too, if it's true that he paid for the security footage from that hotel in LA, that's not good. That's not good. Paul Revere says, from P. Diddy to Free Diddy, SMH. I know, right? Thank you for the super chat, Metal Music Sped Up. I know only one song from Diddy, the one he did with guitarist Jimmy Page for the movie Godzilla from 1998, called Come With Me. I'm not ever going to listen to that song the same way again. Much love. I'm so sorry, Metal. Yeah. Oh, man. President Powery says, Cassie about to get a bag. I'm telling you, if Kid Cudi comes forward, that's going to be a revealing moment. Protect Kid Cudi. Just saying that. Just saying it. What is this song? Kid Cudi should come out. Kid Cudi.